Welcome to The Practical Intuitive, where each Monday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern, where host Robin Fritz explores mind, body, and spirit for the real world. Because we are all intuitives and healers, and we must all learn to love ourselves and live that love every day. Robin is a trained and certified intuitive and spiritual consultant and hypnotherapist with an international practice based in Seattle, Washington. As the Practical Intuitive, she covers personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, shamanic insights, energy healing, soul choice. It's all here. Readings, healings, and funny, warm, thought-provoking conversations. It's Robin Fritz, the Practical Intuitive, helping you mastermind body and spirit for the real world. No ifs, ands, buts, or BS ever.
Welcome to the Practical Intuitive Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. It's Robin Fritz, and we are live on a beautiful, sunny, and extremely cold day in Seattle, Washington. So, my goal in my work is about helping everyone understand and practice the truth that we are all intuitives and healers. We just need to learn how to tap those skills. And these are practical skills. They help us connect mind, body, and spirit to be our best in our daily lives, at home, at work, out and about, and in our creative aspects, whatever it is that we're growing to and adding to in our personal lives and our families. As I have mentioned many times in the past here, Facebook Live and in my articles, wherever you were talking, we are all souls who have chosen bodies to learn about being human in this lifetime, those of us who are human. And most of the people that I've met and worked with have been around before, most of them lots. So we have many, many experiences. I have many experiences being animals, for example. But our purpose in every lifetime, whether we're a tree, a hurricane, a human, an animal, is to grow our soul to be the best that we can be in those times. And it's my great honor as a show host and as someone out there practicing intuition and healing to help connect the audience with people and beings that they wouldn't necessarily meet. So it's why I'm really excited to introduce my guest today, Jeannine Wiest. And we'll talk about Jeannine in a minute and bring her on and chat with you. But as we get ready to do this, and we're talking about creating our best lives, growing our souls the best way possible, let's do what we do every show and take a moment to tap into my crystal partner, Fallon, the citrine Lemurian quartz. It's a rare form of quartz. Citrine Lemurian is a very rare combination, but Fallon himself is an ancient healer and truth bringer, and you will connect with him during the show based on how your intuition works. So you may see pictures, you may hear him chat with you, you may feel his energy, or you may simply know that you are connected to him. So take a deep breath, sit back in your chair, relax, and prepare to spend a magical hour with us. So, as you imagine connecting with Fallon, I want you to take your attention to the top of your head and just breathe in healthy, positive energy. And as you exhale, just release what doesn't serve you. So breathe in and exhale. And now imagine as you're settling into your chair, as we breathe down from the top of our heads to the bottom of our feet, we're just clearing out anything that's stuck in there today, clearing out all the cares of the day, everything that needs to just step aside so that you can have this time here with us. So breathing down from the top of your face, top of your head, down your face, your throat, your communication chakra, your shoulders, your heart, your hips, your knees, and your feet. The top of your head to the bottom of your feet. And just feel yourself getting more grounded, feeling your connection to not just the planet, but to air, to water, to fire, to spirit. and just feel that connection to this rare crystal. And now, as you breathe up from the bottom of your feet, you're welcome to invite that gold healing light into your body to help fill you up with healthy, positive energy. Moving up from your knees, your feet to your knees, your hips, your chest, your shoulders, your face, and the top of your head, your crown chakra. And as I remind people, crown chakras often are wide open when Fallon is around. So if you feel a little lightheaded, that's why. Don't worry. We'll close everything down at the end of the show so you can go back about your day. So we are towards the middle of February here. We're a month away from spring, at least here in the United States. And we're all focused always on how we can be our best selves. What does that mean in the world? What does that mean in our family lives, in the privacy of our homes? What does that mean when we go out into our neighborhoods, to our work, to the jobs that bring in our income? What does that mean to the creative side of us that may have other things in mind? We are writing books, we're painting, we're creating music, we're learning yoga poses, we're doing whatever it is that adds additional meaning to our lives. How do we do that? How do we go about that? What does that mean? And I have to say, today I am just very, very thrilled to introduce Jeannine Wiest. Jeannine will have to explain her credentials here to us, but Jeannine is an advanced craniosacral therapist. And if you've ever had craniosacral therapy, and I have, it's awesome, very, very soft and gentle. And she's also a Reiki master and a holistic coach based in Los Angeles, California. So she has some really interesting experience, and she has a fabulous book, people. It's called The Alchemy of Self-Healing. And I have to laugh at myself tripping over the word alchemy because my company name is actually Alchemy West. It named itself, and when it said its name was Alchemy West, I'm like, oh my God, please don't make me any weirder than normal. And alchemy is simply a word that means transformation, the change from one thing to another, the change from lesser to greater than, the opportunity to transform ourselves. And in this context, we're talking about being our best self. Well, Jeannine sent me a copy of her book, and so I could read it in preparation for our interview. And I'm telling you, it is packed full of amazing and valuable information. So I want everybody to buy it. The Alchemy of Self-Healing by Jeannine Wiest, W-I-E-S-T. You can find her on Amazon for sure. But I'm thrilled to welcome Jeannine, and we have so much to talk about. We're just going to feel our way through this so that everyone can get a feel for this book and how important it can be to your everyday life, at home and at work. So Jeannine, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me on the show. I love being on a show called The Practical Intuitive. Those are two of my favorite words.
I know, right? It's too woo-woo. You know, I have people going like, oh, that's so woo-woo. I've been trying to talk to someone in town about not naming the conference Woo and Wellness because, you know, intuition is practical. We just don't think about it that way.
Well, and I think it's time that we do, right?
It is time. It is past time.
Absolutely. Alchemy is really just a process by which something ordinary becomes extraordinary.
That's right.
It's a process, and so why not tap into that?
That's exactly right. So, Jeannine, let's get everybody grounded in the conversation by telling us quickly what you do, how you do it, and then let's jump into this amazing book.
Okay. Well, I'm a craniosacral therapist, which is a body listener. And I'm a creative. I've been a creative my whole life.
Awesome.
I've been a dancer on Broadway. I was an Emmy-nominated costume designer. All those years, I was in chronic pain. I was diagnosed with cancer twice, not once, but twice.
Oh, my gosh.
And when I found craniosacral, it was life-altering in terms of my ability to feel really like the heroine in my own life rather than like a victim, which I think is a huge concept that some people don't entertain, and it can change everything if you start thinking about whatever situation you're in as, well, okay, what if I were the heroine in my own life right now? Would I be doing what I'm doing right now, or would something maybe need to shift? And just even entertaining that idea can start to change the molecules in your body and get you humming in a more positive direction. So I've always worked with my hands, and it seems like a natural progression to me because I'm a nonlinear person.
Right.
To morph into a craniosacral therapist and a self-help author and a storyteller. I think that storytelling is a wonderful way of healing. I think it's just a natural way of healing, and it's about time. When you think about the spoken word, what we're doing right now, someone listening in.
And you're correct, Jeannine. That's true. Actually, storytelling is the ancient foundation of the human race, right? I mean, we told stories. That's how we created civilization.
Absolutely. And it's funny because after my book was published, there was a trend towards hybrid books. And everyone was saying, oh, we have to have hybrid books, which were basically entertaining stories and memoir-type stuff combined with some type of nonfiction. In my case, it would be self-help. And all of a sudden I realized, oh, wait a minute, my book is a hybrid. I just didn't know what to call it.
Yeah, you just didn't know it.
I wasn't on trend. But,
you paved the way.
I do believe that telling stories is, as you say, a time-honored way of connecting. And I also think that healing is a spiral. It's not a straight line. And that's why we can sort of follow our healing path sometimes by going through a story, because it isn't necessarily, everyone has, the hero has something to overcome, right? And that's the moment of truth where he can,
at some point in their journey, right?
Yeah, right, absolutely. So, yeah.
Your book here, okay, so you were talking about using your senses, your bodily senses as medicine, okay? And you were describing the term sensory alchemy, system of exercises based on craniosacral principles. All right, so when we're translating that, so your body has answers to your pain.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense to me. Like you, I have a long history of things that have happened to my body. And when I was going through your book, and I was thinking, this would have helped, like 20 years ago. So thank God, you're out there, Jeannine, and other people who are dealing with, chronic issues. You go through the medical system and they don't always have answers. And you were talking about having cancer and then not. And that's a pretty dramatic situation. But for a lot of people, immune system dysfunction, chronic pain, all of those things, and the answers tend to be drugs. But there are better answers, and you are showing people the way to these answers. And your book is full of things like quizzes, a process that people can learn. They can go to your website and download some basics, to get started on it. So for a person who's listening today, who's dealing with a chronic issue, okay, let's do both people if you can. The people that are dealing with a chronic issue and are looking for a different answer, and the people who are just looking for better answers in their life. How would you address that?
Well, I think that the work definitely works for both sets of people in slightly different ways. And that's why in the book, I offered the quiz right up front. And I think, most people will take that quiz and think, wait a minute, what does this really mean? Or I did really well. Does that mean I'm not, I'm fine? I don't feel fine.
Right.
But the quiz is basically meant to be surprising. So as quizzes go, it's meant to be nonlinear. And I don't know about you, but I love quizzes, like all the silly ones on Facebook, like what kind of mermaid are you? I love that. I love that there's actually a quiz out there that assumes that we all are mermaids, and we really need to know what kind. I mean, I think that's just
I live at the edge of Puget Sound in so the Pacific Ocean, and we have like sea monsters here.
Oh, right. Yes, Puget Sound is an estuary. I know that. I've been there.
Yes, it is very salty.
So as you take this quiz, the idea is you learn to ask a better question, and maybe one of the main benefits of cranial work is that you have an opportunity to have a dialogue, enter into a dialogue with your body, which it could be as simple as noticing things from the inside out rather than the outside in. And how do you do that, someone might say? And so the quiz is a great place to start because I ask you questions where there really is no right or wrong, which is shocking for a quiz, right?
Right, I noticed that. Yeah, I sat down and I'm playing with this quiz and I'm going like, oh, this is different. And then, I totaled up my score and I thought, well, okay, either I figured things out over time or I'm being very anal or something. I don't know. Oh, we missed the break here. We missed our break. Well, we'll wait and see what happens. But let's continue. If we have a break, we have a break here. We'll go with what happens. So explain the quiz to people, what that means and how they get started on your book.
Sure. So I have the quiz at the beginning. So before you've read about my system, which is a simple, repeatable system, very step-by-step, you get to find out whether you are an inner alchemist, a seeker, or an inner apprentice. Now, so the idea is I want you to befriend.
Okay, there comes our break. Hang on, Jeannine. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Change and growth are part of natural life and also part of your spiritual life. Everyone needs support and guidance, especially during life passages. Upgrade yourself with the OMTimes Experts program. With OMTimes Experts, you have access to the best intuitive coaches, spiritual teachers, counselors, astrologists, and oracles. Our team was carefully selected so you can trust. Find out more at experts.omtimes.com.
Hello, I'm Lisa Berry. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for Light on Living, a chance to see new, hear different, and feel more as I shine the spotlight on all the ways to lighten the load of life's challenges. Light on Living is your link to that new way you're looking for, that new understanding that will enhance your life, and that positive connection that will support your growth. So join me and you'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you.
Shopping for yourself or loved ones? Check out the best rock shop around, Earthlight Rocks and Gems in Kirkland, Washington. Whether you're looking for metaphysical support or just love nature's art, Earthlight has it all. Raw rocks, crystals, tumbled stones of all kinds, carvings, cabs, fossils, tumblers, rare minerals in all price ranges, and books. They also have jewelry, including custom pieces and beads to make your own. Open 7 days a week, the Earthlight store has been around since 1988 and is run by Kim and Todd Valines. Find them online at earthlightgems.com, at Etsy at earthlightgems.etsy.com, or on Facebook at Earthlight Rocks and Gems. Have a question? Email Kim at the store, earthlightgems.com. And just for OMTimes listeners, receive 10% off orders over $50 at their Etsy account with coupon code EarthlightGems. That's earthlightgems.etsy.com or the store at earthlightgems.com.
I'm Fidel Nshambo. I was born in a city called the Bukavu in the Congo. We were a loving family, and then, boom, everything that I had disappeared in a single day. People think that when you are a refugee and they resettle you to America, and all your problems are done. They don't understand that that's the beginning of everything. I was not born a refugee. I was made one.
It's time we welcome refugee families with open arms. Learn more at embracerefugees.org, brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Practical Intuitive Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. It's Robin Fritz. We are live in Seattle, Washington. And my special guest today is Jeannine Wiest, whose book, The Alchemy of Self-Healing, is available at pretty much, I would assume, some great bookstores, as well as online at Amazon and other sources. So, Jeannine, welcome back here. And we were talking about the quiz in your book, but the readers don't have, or the listeners don't have access to the quiz, but we can tell them, I guess, that if they get the book and they take the quiz, that'll give them ideas on working their way through the rest of the book and helping them connect better with their body, correct?
Absolutely. And I built the quiz and I built the system that the book is about basically based on craniosacral tenets, which have been around since the 19th century. And so what I did is I sort of extrapolated it out, what they mean in a practical way, to living the life that's available to you right now at any given moment. So I just wanted to quickly tell you what those 4 things are.
That's awesome. Do that. Yeah, please.
Get an idea that we're rooted in science, right? The body is a unit. The body is a self-correcting mechanism. Structure and function are interrelated. And finally, movement is health. Now, those 4 statements might seem, certainly to you, someone like you, Robin, obvious, but to many people they are not. And certainly in the 19th century, this flew in the face of conventional wisdom. So, we have to remember that.
Why was that?
Well, because, those were the days of bloodletting, right? I mean,
I guess, yeah.
The body is a unit. No, if your knee hurt, if there was something wrong with your knee, and we just focus on your knee, and that's all we do. It would never occur to us to think, what's the knee connected to, and how is that related to your spine, and how does that give you a headache, or how does that wasn't the thought. The thought of the day was, this is bad, let's cut it out, or let's bloodlet it, or whatever. It was very rudimentary what was offered. They were not accepted thoughts. So,
well, I'm glad I don't live then anymore, right?
Right? Yeah. No bloodletting for me. Thank you very much.
So go over those principles one more time for listeners.
Sure. The body is a unit. So, for example, you might say, how is that a practical truth for the listener? Well, it reminds us that everything is connected. So just because you're in pain now, for example, there is a message there for you. It's not your wayward body trying to sabotage your plans, right?
Right.
And once you start looking at things from that premise, from the premise of body wisdom, inner wisdom, even if it's clumsily imparted, for example, by a body that's not used to being listened to, just the fact that you're starting to listen to it is a great really huge first step. So
it is,
someone might say, well, body is a unit. Well, how would I go about talking to my body? Well, you might say, does this pain have a job? Is there a purpose? And you might ask your body. And then, of course, the big thing is to wait. Nobody wants to wait these days, right? Everybody wants the magic pill. We all want to know how quickly we can achieve anything. And sometimes, for fast, Lily Tomlin has a saying, for fast-acting relief, slow down.
Yeah.
And it's really true. In terms of being in your body, that's definitely something to try, even though it feels really uncomfortable when you go, wait a minute, I'm asking my body a question, I'm asking my knee, I'm talking to my kidney. Wait, what? But then, it's really fascinating when you get an answer.
That's right, exactly. So is the weight the second point?
The second point is the body is a self-correcting mechanism. So there we are opening up the possibility that, whoa, self-healing, we're opening that up. Whereas before, that was not even on the table. And certainly, to some degree, Western medicine doesn't agree with that, or it certainly doesn't operate as though the body is a self-correcting mechanism, although there are certainly doctors who are working more.
They're starting to be. You know, you have the integrative medicine approach, and you have functional medicine now.
Yes, functional medicine is wonderful.
It is.
The idea of a self-correcting mechanism is, to me, what a relief. Like, wouldn't, yes, you might need to take a drug in the short term, or you might need surgery in the short term, but in the long term, and certainly with the clients that I see, and you mentioned two different kinds of people. So someone coming actually with chronic pain, they might need to work with, if my body is not trying to, hurt me and attack me, what if my body is in this with me and we're in it together, whatever this situation we've created for ourselves is? Wow, isn't that a different way of looking at it? First of all, you've got someone on your side now, which sometimes you don't think you do when you're ill or there's a disability or some type of handicap or something. And so that's nice to know. Like right away, you are on your side. Good to know, right?
That is good. People lose focus on that easily.
Yeah, absolutely.
When they're hurting.
Definitely. And for the other people, I know in my client base, I see people wanting to uncover their true worth and to own it, and having trouble and having pain coming from feeling that either they're too much or they're not enough in the world.
That's right.
And so in other words, those are the two ends of the spectrum of the kinds of people for whom this work really seems to speak to. And so you find yourself striving for balance, but you don't have the sureness and the wisdom that I would say is locked and overlooked, which is your body wisdom. So, yes.
Well, it's looking at the body as a holistic thing, not as individual parts. And I think I know in the years that I struggled with a chronic illness and nobody knew what it was like one person is looking at this part, one person is looking at that part. Who's looking at the whole?
Oh, I know.
I know. And you get frustrated, and finally I just took it all into my own hands and said, hey, I'm going to look for something better. And I stumbled onto yoga, and chiropractic and, supplements and really the whole body approach. And it was really a mind, body, spirit approach. And part of that is regaining self-worth, right?
Absolutely.
And learning
doing that. A lot of people
it was hard. And at the time I had a dog who had the same problems I did. And I'm looking at that and I'm going, no, wait. Wait, what is this?
Yeah, he was mirroring you.
Well, no, she did have those issues. And we basically ended up looking for solutions for both of us that included everything out there, so I literally knocked on doors I didn't know existed. So that's when I learned about things like spirit guides and all of that stuff. And then I realized about intuition and, natural healing abilities and all of those things that need to be part of a system for really mind, body, and spirit healing, which is what you're talking about.
Absolutely. And so in my system, we talk about 3 levels of awareness: the physical, the metaphysical, and the metaphorical. And, of course, all of that has to do with the spiritual. I mean, the governing, the big enchilada around that whole thing. What a weird, where did I get that from? Anyway.
That's true. Can we back up a second, though?
About enchiladas.
Enchiladas. There we go. Can we back up a second and finish the 4 craniosacral tenets? Because I'm really curious now, because I know you mentioned them, and I want to make sure everybody gets them. The body is a unit. The body is a self-correcting mechanism.
Right. structure and function are interrelated. So we have old stories inside us, and over the years, patterns are laid down in our connective tissue. Your connective tissue, it's called your fascia, if for people who are interested in that kind of thing. And it's like a body stocking underneath your skin that keeps your organs and everything in place. And when you have repetitive motions, or if, for example, if someone hits you when you're a child and you always raise, let's say you always raise your left arm to avoid the contact, that type of motion is emotion fraught with, it's coming from trauma. There's emotion coming into the body as energy, and that's a repeated motion. And if it is repeated and something that you recall from your childhood, it's your body memory that's recalling it. It might not even be something that you're conscious of. Maybe conscious, but probably not, or oftentimes not. So the idea is when you start to have a problem like a frozen shoulder later in life, you may never think back to, oh, I had this awful babysitter who used to hit me, or you may not even have known if you were a year old and they just handled you really roughly and you would try to protect yourself and you didn't quite have the tools to do so. So, for example, there might be an absolute direct connection, which when we find that in your tissues, when we find the source and can release it, and it's not something you have to relive, and this is pretty interesting. I think there used to be a time in this type of work where people felt you had to really have a big dramatic release and experience and relive. I say, no way, you don't have to do that. I think it's way more elegant, and we've all evolved now to a point where in this work, you can just have the awareness of it, let it come to the surface as heat or cold energy that needs to be expelled, and then release it and, sort of bless that energy and allow it to turn into whatever positive thing it can turn into, but it's no longer part of your body.
Yeah, that is awesome. So what you're saying is a person wouldn't have to know the exact thing that caused the issue or that is part of the issue that has continued for your life. You do these exercises or you work with someone like you and just let that feeling of whatever it is, you don't even have to name it, let it come out and let it get resolved.
Yes. I think that that's a surprise to some people because some of us grew up certainly thinking, I never did, what was it called, EST or whatever. I never did that back in the 70s where it was like enlightenment through starving you and telling you couldn't go to the bathroom.
I don't know. They've morphed into something else these days. They're still out there.
Oh, okay. Well, I shouldn't say anything. Anyway, don't come after me.
No, they're still out there, and they're still creating havoc, and and that's some people like that. I'm all for, I'm actually happy with a quick fix, but then I spent 20 years getting fixed, struggling through on my own, figuring it out. So.
Right.
Yeah, to me, anything quicker than that is a quick fix.
Right.
And much welcomed. So the fourth area,
and
the fourth tenet.
Movement is health. And of course, we can look at that as how do we bring movement and flow into areas that are stuck. And we'll start with the physical. Where in your body are you stuck? And so, in other words, I do this for people when they see me or if they talk to me remotely when I do healings like that, work with people like that. But there's so much you can do on your own. And if I make it, which I tried to do in this book, I think I did.
You did.
If I make it fun and not boring, then, because that's why do people give up on an exercise routine, right? They say, well, because I got tired of lifting the same weights every day or doing the same repetitions. So when you're out in nature working with your senses, there's no way you can be bored. And if one day it's raining and you can't go for a walk and look for a touchstone, well, what can you do around your office? Can you find nature in in maybe a concrete jungle? Can you find, there are things you can do and you can look if you decide that you're going to practice creative noticing. So that's really what I'm sharing with people, how they can do that, and very practical, specific remedies and things that they can, change up and still get results. So, so that's the 4 pieces that I jumped off with. So,
and those are really important.
Absolutely. And
another
thing
go
I
ahead.
can say about movement-based health is, on a metaphorical level, it becomes, okay, a fixed mindset is limiting. So how can we expand that safely and surely?
Right.
And the answer to that would be you track neutral, and that's a piece I'd love to, if we have time, talk about.
We will have time. We do have a break coming up in a few minutes. We do have time with that. And we do also want to talk about the direction of ease, which you said people would be able to identify really well with on the radio. And it's hard on the radio because people are used to seeing things visually and paint a picture for them. But you are aware, of course, and I want to point this out to the readers who might not be aware, that, what Jeannine is talking about with a mind-body-spirit connection is becoming a central tenet in treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder. And having personally suffered from PTSD in 2014, and then having to go back into it on Saturday, no less, on another traumatic incident. One of the things that we learn from PTSD is sitting in a room reliving the event over and over again is only going to make you worse. And they've proven that. And what they've proven helps are things like yoga, getting your body moving, mind, body, and spirit reconnecting. So we'll be back after the break to talk about the fixed mindset and direction of ease.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from New Thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted 15, 14,
13.
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted. He realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Practical Intuitive Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. It's Robin Fritz. We're live in Seattle, Washington, and it is my great honor to share this hour with Jeannine Wiest, the author of the book, The Alchemy of Self-Healing. Jeannine is a craniosacral therapist and a Reiki master, as well as a holistic coach in Los Angeles, California. And I think Jeannine, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the gist of the book, I mean, there's so much information in this book. That's why I'm asking people to go out and buy it. You will treasure it. You work your way through it. I know it will help you. I wish it had been there 20 years ago when I was struggling through my own issues. But what you're talking about is we think too much. My mother used to tell me this when I was a kid. Robin, you think too much. But we think too much. We're in our head a lot. We're in our mind. And what you're trying to tell people is listen to your body too. Your body knows what's happening, and you connect. And my show is about mind, body, spirit, right? So your body is trying to keep you aware, make you aware of the issues that you've suffered through. Jeannine, there's a process I do with people called soul progression clearing. And it's a shortened version of like a past life regression, except I don't care and I don't let them care about what caused the issue. We just look for the blocks and we remove them.
Right. So elegant.
And fill them back up with healthy energy, right? And so there may be a point, there have been times when I've looked back 1,000 years and seen a founder of a line pushing forward and wanting his line to continue forever. And the person in front of me is saying, oh, no way, not happening. We are done. And so what you're doing is separating both there, but you're also in your client right there in front of you. You're seeing that there's this mind, body, spirit connection to her ancestors, but also right here and now is her choice, mind, body, and spirit, to move forward in her life on her own terms. And what you're doing is teaching people how to do that by connecting to their body, which we're not doing enough of.
Right, in really simple ways, and also honoring resistance, like you were just talking about. So the direction of ease is about honoring resistance. So rather than, which of course flies in the face of what we normally do, which is push through the pain, right? Or, don't give up, or there's some Marine saying about, pain is just, I forgot what that is. But it was, I remember when I heard it, I just thought, oh my God, how brutal.
It's in the sports mentality too, the football, you're not a real man unless you have pain. And I was like, oh crap, hold on to that one and kick it onto the curb.
Right, because it's really not, in the end, helpful. So befriending your body really is the best investment of time that you can make. And it can be fun. It can be a daily routine. And one of the things that, one of the ways I can talk about the direction of energy, the direction of ease, is to talk about being neutral.
Okay, let's do that.
The two dovetail. So, for example, if you're upset or you're in a moment and you're being triggered, how do you move in the direction of ease when all you might want to do is run away, fight or flight, run away or hide or attack? Well, the answer there is being neutral. And if you take nothing else away from me, I would love it to be neutral, because it becomes magical and practical as well, because being able to find it and ask yourself, where is neutral now, can stop an argument in its tracks. It can help you land a job, and it can help you with better decision making. That's how transformative it is.
Oh, so, that is awesome.
What is it?
Yeah, explain. The key to life here, Jeannine, it's all in your hands.
Right, I don't have the answers, but I do have some good questions.
Okay, good. Let's go with those then.
It's a physical and a mental act of awareness. Some people call being neutral also dynamic poise, which I really like, right? And the
dynamic
idea is
poise?
Poise. So it's not like you're feeling nothing. It's dynamic means you're at the ready, you're in the on deck circle, you're kind of, you're ready, but you're not attached to an outcome, which is difficult. It's tricky to do, and it's a constant shuttling back and forth. Am I reaching too much for something? Can I pull back? What if I didn't have to, control the outcome? Because you know how things are sometimes a wonderful surprise. Some people will call it coincidence. Some people will call it serendipity. But wouldn't you like to have a wonderful surprise more often in your life than, a big pail of cold water in your face, right? So
lately I would just like to be able to go for a walk in peace. Yes.
There you go.
Totally get that.
So one of the ways, so this does take a little bit of practice, but it does become super easy, and it's a great habit to cultivate. What you're doing is, and this is a quick exercise I can lead people through, and I'll try to do it really quickly.
Okay,
you can
let's do it.
Spend time with it afterwards. So I'm assuming most people are sitting down, and if you're driving, of course, ignore me. But if you take your hands and put them on the tops of your thighs, just above your knees, and imagine that you're putting energy, whatever this means to you, listening, putting energy into your knees. So usually that feels like an efforting of some kind, right? Whether you're pressing down. Again, I don't want it to be too efforting, but if that's whatever it takes to make you feel like you're really in contact and putting energy into your legs. So just play with that for like 10 seconds, and after you feel like you've got it, I'm going to have you do the same thing, and again, without really radically moving your hands, imagine that you're pulling energy out of your legs, out from your legs, up from your legs. And see how long it takes you to get that feeling. For people who have never tried this before, you might be going, I don't know. Trust me, just give it a whirl. It's 10 seconds out of your life. All right, so that's energy in and energy out. What is in between? There's a yummy, yummy place called neutral. And in neutral is not, again, either putting energy in or pulling energy out. So I'd like you to put your hands once again on the tops of your legs, lightly, and try to just let your mind wander, sort of send it off with a little drink with an umbrella or something, an iced tea or something off to the side, while you just play with the senses and how your hands are in contact with your legs. It is very difficult at the first to find neutral. You want to either pull energy out or put energy in. By nature, we are doers. You're going to want to do something, right? Do something, fix something, make something happen. Neutral is instead this wonderful but yet dynamic place where you're just hanging out ready for what comes next. And that's where all those magical little moments happen. That's where those wonderful, or like even just walking down the street feeling calm, that's where you get to allow that. And that's the key, is allowing. And
yes.
That's how neutral, right? Did you get a sense of that?
Yes. Awesome.
That's how neutral dovetails with the direction of ease, because and a very simple thing people can do when they find themselves faced with a dilemma or a situation, or feeling like they're being triggered by family or past memory or experience. One of the things you can do is ask yourself, okay, what if this were easy? Okay, it's not easy. It feels awful. I want to haul off and hit somebody or scream or yell or whatever, but what if it were easy? And just by asking that, it's like, what? What? Are you kidding? And then there's a moment of, it could be, you mean it could be easy? And just the entertaining of that stops you from being triggered.
Right, yeah, because you're off on something else, and you're back to neutral. Yeah.
Right.
That is so awesome.
It's a great place to hang out. It's like at Thanksgiving, it can save, a dinner, depending on people's relationship with their family. But
so, what do your clients say about this?
I have people who absolutely, are just addicted to now, having a sensory relationship with their body, and they trust themselves, and they're able to. It can be anything from making money to ending a relationship to beginning a relationship. It can help you with, work through challenging health issues. Depending on if you feel like you want, whatever it is that you're trying to create. It's just really hard to create solely from the idea of positive thinking. A funny story, there was a play by Samuel Beckett called Happy Day. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but
I haven't heard of that one.
Play. Okay, so it's a 2-act play, and in the first act, the woman is up to her waist in mud, and she's talking about what a happy day it is, and it's just a happy day, and how all these awful things are happening to her, but she's just la 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 la, happy, happy, positive. Second act, she's up to her neck in mud. Okay, this is dark.
Oh, goodness.
But I mean, it's basically talk about a visual image or
right,
some
exactly.
And so, wait a minute. You're up to your waist in mud. Let's fix this. You're up to your neck in mud. It's not a happy day. What are you going to do about it? And my answer, especially in these times when things seem so haywire in the world in so many ways, my answer is go back to your body. Go back to trusting your body and befriending your body. And it could be for the first time that you say, I'm so sorry that I put you through that. Or, even before, let's say before a surgery, you can talk to your body, the part of your body that's going to be the most impacted, and say, hey, you're going to be going under anesthesia. It's going to feel really weird. You're going to have this cottony, strange, spooky kind of feeling.
Right.
And you're going to be out of control. We're doing it on purpose, so just hang in there, and I'll take care of you afterwards.
Yeah.
People
that is
have
so
come
awesome.
Go ahead. Something as simple as that can change the outcome of a surgical procedure.
Yeah, and that's so true, Jeannine. We're kind of out of time here today, but one thing I want to add to this conversation is what you've been saying is I tell people all the time, we are all naturally intuitives and healers, and you're really adding to that. And the point being that we're in a weird time in history where we're living in our heads. We really are. We're on social media, we're watching the news 24/7, and it gets to our heads. And then we do lose contact with our bodies and what our bodies can do. So what we're doing is reuniting that mind, body, and spirit. And as natural intuitives and healers, we can connect to every body part. We can talk to it. We can say, hey, how are you feeling? What are you doing? So awesome. Quick last words for listeners today, Jeannine.
I would say noticing is healing and creative noticing is transformational. So get out there and have a conversation with a tree.
That's awesome.
Get out there and sit on a tree and see how it makes you feel in your spine. If you get the book, take the quiz. I'd love to hear from you. You can contact me at Jeannine at alchemyofselfhealing.com. And
awesome.
I'm sure my information will be on Robin's show. So,
you bet.
If your spine feels like a gliding fish, I want to hear.
Awesome. Jeannine, thank you again for joining us today. It's Jeannine Wiest, The Alchemy of Self-Healing, a revolutionary 30-day plan to change how you relate to your body and health. Jeannine, thanks for joining us. People, get this book. It is really helpful. Thank you, Jeannine, and take care.
So much fun talking with you.
It was awesome. Take care. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today and update you on a few things happening. So next week, actually a personal friend of mine and an author will be joining us. Adrienne Ross Scanlon is the author of Defining Home and Nature, How We Connect with the Land Around Us. Adrienne is a lay naturalist, or what they would say in the 18th century, a citizen scientist. And she moved here to Seattle from New York, and in the process of transplanting herself, she became involved in restoring nature here in Seattle, like our native salmon runs in the heart of the city. Nature writer, fascinating conversation. Join us next Monday on the show. And also this morning on Facebook Live, as I'm getting myself put back together here, we're talking about intuition and energy boundaries. How if you're going to really tap your intuitive and healing abilities, you need to understand what your energy body is, what your energy boundaries are, how it works, how it functions, how you can work with it. that it's alive and has its own opinions, and we haven't been taught to pay attention to it. And I have an upcoming webinar series starting on March 20th, a 5-part series. The first part is free. We're going to be working together in that webinar series. You'll be working one-on-one with me as well, and by the end of that series, you will be ready to really jump in and learn how to use your intuition in the next webinar series. And I'm talking about practical intuition, just like my guest Jeannine Wiest was talking about, being practical in dealing with your health issues, your body, mind, and spirit, just going out and about in your daily life. Your intuition is the thing that we've been missing for the last couple hundred years in human civilization, and it's time for that to end. So let's bring that intuition back. You can find me at my website, Robin Fritz, ROBYNFRITZ.com. I offer personal and business intuition. You can literally buy an hour of my time and divide it up into 15-minute sections. Animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, soul progression clearing, energy healing. So find me on my website now. Hands on heart, breathe into the palms of your hands. Feel that energy going into your palms. Breathe into your palms, feel that air on your palms, and then put your palms back on your heart. We're grounding you back into your body after connection with us and Fallon this hour. Feel yourself getting grounded and balanced. Join us next week. Thank you for joining us today. Take care.